This week's Flames TV podcast guest is forward AJ Greer, and he has a passion for music. So in light of that, all the music you hear on this week's podcast is produced by AJ Greer. All right, we haven't had a ton of stretches at home, so the opportunity to bring on somebody and to have some time here after a practice has been few and far between. But it's good to have you on, AJ Greer, with us.
Thank you, guys.
But maybe let's just start first of all with kind of recent times. Obviously, a lot of road time. But teams played pretty well here as of late. What's it been like the last I guess we'll say probably 10 to 12 games or so here?
Yeah, these last 10, 12 games felt a lot different. I feel like teams bought into the systems. We've been playing as a group, as a unit, and we've been feeding off of each other's competitiveness and each other's just commitment to win, honestly. From the top of the lineup all the way to the goalies, everyone's been doing their job. Markey, Vladdy, they've done an amazing job at just staying consistent and giving us the best opportunity to win a game. Vladdy last game, we wouldn't have won without him. So, the defense has been great, and we've just really went back to the drawing board after that losing skid and kind of made sure that we fine-tune a few things. But overall, the most important thing was getting out of that slump. And what are we going to do to get better every day and look forward and not look back, right? It's a long season, but sometimes when you feed off of that negative energy in a slump, it's tough to get out of. So we're fortunate to have come, out of it and just being able to have a good record here and put ourselves in a good spot playoff-wise is a great accomplishment. So we just got to keep that momentum going.
I know we're going to talk a little bit about you settling in because it's been probably, I'm assuming, a bit of a whirlwind these last few months. But in terms of the team's game, that's coming along. You too. I mean, offensively, you've got a couple of goals in your last 3 games here. Parks mentioned you kind of sneaking up on a career high already. So, I mean, things are going well for you. I mean, how does that feel too when, the team's game is coming along like it is, but you've been a big time contributor in that part too?
It feels great. Obviously, I always want to contribute on the offensive side of things, and good teams have good depth, both on the defensive side and on the offensive side. So I think our depth has been really good this year, contributing in timely goals and, also on the defensive side, being able to be relied on in big situations. So personally, it feels great. I've been contributing and just being able to feed off of, this production that I've been having. And I have goals in mind every time I start a new season. I kind of sit down and try to think of what is attainable and what's a great goal to have going into it. So, I'm really happy so far personally, and especially just with the group in general. Like I said, you need your third and fourth line to be able to contribute, and you can't always rely on your top lines. Sure.
You heard, Weeks talked about it, scoring that goal. That's kind of how he envisioned the Sea of Red. But I would think it's the same for you because in a big spot like that, the building was kind of buzzing all night long. And then to score that goal against Vegas, what did it sound like? What did it feel like?
It felt amazing. It was my first one in this building. It's a great feeling. And obviously, as a fan, you don't want to go to a game and not see your team score, right? And you want a high-scoring game as well. You want entertainment. Going into the third period, you could tell there was momentum building up, and there were opportunities coming, but we just had to stick with it, and that's what we kind of were harping on before the game. It's going to be a tough opponent, and we just got to stick to the process, and it's going to be the team who plays the full 60 minutes right up until the end, and that's exactly what happened. And we stuck with it. I was fortunate enough that I came off the bench and all of a sudden there's a puck laying there in the slot for me. I just had to put it in the right spot. So, the hockey gods were with me there. And at the end of the day, you got to be ready for those opportunities. So, very happy for that. And it was a great feeling too. The fans were buzzing. And then right as I scored that, you could tell the energy picked up. And with Weeks' goal, all I could think of is, okay, now it's going to pick up with this homestand here. We're going to have some good energy, some good fans, and it's going to be a great time. So
good way to kick it off.
We'll move on here in a second, but one more on that, because, you know, certainly as a photographer too, I love it. When you score, you've got some emotion behind that too. So is any of that going through your mind when you're scoring, or is it
reaction?
Just, yeah, exactly. Yeah. Natural?
Yeah, most of it's like reactive, definitely. But, you know, when I do score and I have some time to think about it, I try to get a good celly going.
Yep.
Yeah.
You know, I love scoring goals. I think everyone does.
Sure.
I definitely bring the energy, and it hypes me up. So I try to get some good cellies in there. And I grew up watching Alex Ovechkin,
Yes.
you know, the best goal scorer, in my opinion, in the history of the game. So for me, growing up and seeing this guy have so much passion for when he scores goals, that kind of taught me how to want to score goals and want to be in those positions. And when you do, like, it's a privilege, and all eyes are on you.
Yeah.
You got to give them a show, right?
Yeah,
So,
absolutely.
yeah, I'm fortunate for sure.
Do you have one you like, Ovi's, one that you remember, or any stories of getting to play him against him maybe for the first
I did.
time?
I lined up against him when I was with Colorado.
Okay.
It was a special moment, and I had asked the PR people before the game if there was any way I could meet him or you know, take a picture with him and stuff, and they said no, maybe not, but we'll see what we can do. And then ended up that I got a signed stick, the game stick that he used that game.
No way.
He signed it for me, and I got it, so that's even better for me, right?
No kidding, yeah.
It's an amazing piece of art that for me has no value, because that's Alex Ovechkin is the one player that really honestly got me to where I am today, just because of, again, how much passion and energy he brought, and the love for the game that he displays on the ice when he scores, and when he has that spotlight on him, that fueled me to kind of always do the same thing when I'm on the ice.
The Heritage Classical, that reminded me, because I think that one was a good one. The celly after that one, it's like outdoor game too, big moment. That one was a good one.
Yeah, that one was crazy. Like, it just happened so quick, and because the fans were so far, it kind of was a delayed sound, right?
Yeah.
The sound transport. So it happened, and then I was like, I cellied, and I was like, did I score? And then so
like, that was in, right? For sure.
Yeah, happened so quick. Same thing again. I got off the bench,
straight out,
bounced right into the slot again.
Okay, so we touched on some of the success you're having. Again, back to sort of the adjustment. You come in here, what was it, like 2 days before the regular season starts? And I can't imagine what that's like, going through the entirety of training camp. You think you're ready to start with one group of guys and have to get to know a whole new family. So what was that transition like? And I know you're an expecting father here as well, so that probably adds another layer to it. But how has the adjustment been, family-wise, and for you as well?
Yeah, it was, like you said, a whirlwind. You know, I don't wish upon anyone to go through the waiver process just because of how grueling it is, and you know, that 24-hour period where you're just sitting around and hoping that your phone rings is not fun. You start to doubt yourself. You start to kind of doubt your abilities, and you start to think, well, okay, am I going to have another chance in this league? Sure. You've worked so hard to get to it. But I was fortunate enough that the Calgary picked me up, and you know, it starts. You go on waivers at 2 p.m. My experience, it was a Sunday, so you know you're waiting this whole 24-hour period, and then at 2 p.m. on Monday, you're kind of staring at your phone. It was 2:05. I didn't get a call yet, and I was kind of like, just okay. I didn't get picked up, and then around 2:07. I got a call from the Bruins general manager, told me that Calgary picked me up and that they were going to call me. Connie called me, and it was about 2:10. We had a nice conversation about 2:15, and then he basically told me, yeah, we'd like you to play in 2 days. Is there any way you can get on a flight tonight? And I look at my watch, and I'm like, I mean, it's 2:15. Like, when's this flight? He's like 6 o'clock. I'm like, I don't have my gear. I don't have anything. I haven't packed anything. I don't have my gear. It's primetime traffic in Boston.
Yeah.
So I'm like, all right, well, I'm going to do my best. And I had to be at the airport. It's an international flight, mind you,
2 hours early,
right?
probably.
So I have to be at the airport for a 6 o'clock flight, at least at 4:30,
right?
4 o'clock.
Yeah.
It's 2:30. Get right in my car. I drive across the city, and of course I hit traffic. Get my bag, come back, hit traffic coming back to my house. Then I get pulled over. Not even for speeding, for an expired sticker on my license plate.
Like of all days.
It was just like a checkup.
Right.
And I was like, he came up to, I'm like, here you go. Like, did I do anything wrong? What's going on? He's like, oh yeah, you don't have your sticker. I just want to check, make sure everything's good. I'm like, sir, I don't want to be rude, but I just got picked up off waivers. I have to go to Calgary tonight. It's a 6:00 flight. I have to be at the airport in 40 minutes. I have to basically take my whole life, put it in a bag, and go.
Yeah.
He's like, okay, I got you. So he was nice enough. He let me go pretty quick. And then, my wife and I just packed 2 suitcases and then right to the airport. And it was just so quick. Like I was in the airport. I was sitting there. I was like, whoa, this is pretty crazy. I went from Boston. I had just bought a house over there, and I don't know. It just was so quick. Like I didn't really realize it until about a couple of days after I was in Calgary. And I finally had to calm down after the first game, right? Like I got in practice the next day.
Yeah.
I was at the hotel. Then I played our first game. So it was a crazy couple of days, but again, I'm very fortunate to be in this position and been loving my time in Calgary.
Yeah.
The people, the city has been great. I'm very impressed with how everything's been going. It's been great.
Yeah, that's awesome. Good to hear. Well, and just as you described that, it's like you kind of go back through it again. It's like, wow, that first game must have been just like a complete fog in some ways.
Oh,
like,
definitely. Yeah. I don't really remember much of it.
Yeah, exactly.
Especially my wife being pregnant, and we have a dog and everything, and she was kind of just like, what do we do here?
Yeah.
Like, and the only reason I had to get on a flight that night is because it was the last direct flight to Calgary.
Yeah.
And if I had taken a flight the next day, it would have been 2 stops, and I wouldn't have been able to practice before getting to the game Wednesday.
Right.
And I had 2 days off before then, so it would have been 3 days off, then going right into a game. I couldn't do that.
Yeah,
so
had to get back on the ice.
Got it done.
Yeah, that's good. Well, hey, it's been a good fit. I mean, and nice to hear you say that too, because I'd imagine the on ice stuff kind of reflects that of overtime too. You feel comfortable around the rink, the city, and that I think that's probably something that people kind of forget about sometimes in the hockey world is that it does take time. It's like anybody adjusting to anything, right? Is that whenever you get kind of uprooted a little bit, it takes some time to settle in. When do you feel like it kind of felt more like home and everything was kind of established, or did it happen maybe fairly quickly?
Happened fairly quickly, I will say, in the locker room.
Yeah.
I knew a few guys coming in who I trained with in Toronto, and I played with a Z in Colorado,
Sure,
Igor. But just overall, feeling comfortable around, the city and just settled in is, my wife, my dog came a couple weeks after, and then we finally got a spot. So it's been feeling like home now.
Yeah, that's good.
But, it's part of the game, and
Sure.
I'm used to, having to travel and stay in hotels and stuff just because of the first couple of years of my career. I was up and down a lot. So I know what it takes to be here. And again, I have no complaints.
Yeah. So I reached out to my buddy, Penzi, who I'm sure you're quite familiar with in Boston. So just in advance of this conversation, just, give me the Greer, not dirt, but I just wanted to see what you're up to. But one of the things that he told me about you is that you're passionate about everything that you do. And I feel like that's a pretty good characteristic, a good trait to have in one's life. And speaking of that time in the airport, we had a conversation. You told me a little bit about the music that you're involved in, and I know you're really passionate about that. So when did that become a big part of your life, and where is that at now? Like, is that a hobby? Is that a side hustle? Like, what do you have going on that side?
I was always into music growing up. My dad was a big music fan, and just exposed me to a lot of different genres of music. And then I was always listening to music 24/7. Can't really watch much TV. I can't sit there. I don't have the patience for it. So I just would listen to music and do other stuff. And I started DJing when I was like 16, 17, just for fun on my computer. And then all of a sudden I moved to Toronto after my first year pro, and I had a friend who was working at a restaurant, and they had a nightclub downstairs. So he got me a small little gig there every Wednesday from like 9 to midnight. I did that a few nights, but then it started to get old. It wasn't my scene, and just being out, till midnight on a Wednesday is kind of grueling when you have to work out and skate the next day. But that was one of the things on my bucket list for sure. So I got to do that for a few nights, and the first night was great. I had all my friends come out, and it was a cool night. Yeah. And then kind of stopped that for a bit. But just again, my love for music was always there, and I'm always trying to find new music, new things to listen to, new artists and types of music. And then all of a sudden, during COVID, I started watching YouTube clips about music production and how you can do it all in your computer. You don't need any software or anything. It's all built in. So just started kind of messing around with that. And I would just watch YouTube clips and then go back to my computer and try the same thing out. And then, rinse and repeat. So did that for about 2-3 years. And now it's kind of a fun thing for myself. It's a hobby, I would call it. I wouldn't call it a side hustle, because I haven't had my big breakthrough yet, so I haven't made much money off it. But I'm fortunate that I'm in a position where it's not my job, and so I can kind of do it on my own terms. I haven't done it in a week now. It's not, it's just been busy, and then again, I'm a pro athlete. That's my job at first, but when I do have free time, I like to produce music, make beats, and learn and try to get better at it. But I have friends who do this full time, and it's no joke. Like, it's 24/7. You got to be creative, and you got to get those creative juices going. It's a cool thing to do, but it's definitely not easy.
I was going to say, just to follow up on that too. So you said you're doing most of this on like your computer, I suppose, but gotta say, heard you tickling the ivories a little bit at the Coleman's last week too. Do you do much of that? Like piano in your life? Or?
Piano is my favorite instrument.
Okay.
I've always loved playing piano growing up. My grandmother played piano her whole life. Never learned it, just listened to it. And once I started producing music, I bought this little keyboard where, you can kind of transport with you and put in your backpack. And then you use it in your software and your computer to make melodies. Gotcha. and make sounds with it. So kind of learned a little bit of piano skills there. And then everywhere there was a piano that I would travel to, whether it was a hotel or anywhere else, I would just sit down and try it out. And now I just kind of sit down and play little melodies and try to repeat them. And it's just all based off of my ear.
Gotcha.
So yeah,
cool.
So it's a cool little thing I want to do. And I have 2 classes left before I graduate from Boston University. I'm doing one more in January, and then the next one in April, and then I'll be able to graduate, which is going to be a great accomplishment for myself. But then my next thing on my bucket list is taking piano lessons.
For you.
Was that always something for you? Like, I want to make sure I finish it up, or was that kind of a family commitment, or how did?
Yeah, a little bit of both.
Yeah.
When I grew up, my godfather went to UVM.
Yep.
Played hockey there, and so I always kind of was dreaming of going to college hockey, and especially, education was big in my family. Like, it was just always an important thing that my parents harped on. And then as soon as the decision came to, either go to the Q or to college, I had a few offers from certain colleges, and I picked the college route. I was initially committed to Penn State, but then decommitted and went to Boston University a year early, and I skipped my senior year of high school.
Right.
Because I had enough credits. So I went to Boston University as a 17-year-old.
Yeah, young.
Played there my freshman year, and then my sophomore year at Christmas. Hockey, it was a decision for hockey. I just thought that my career would be in a better path if I went to the Q.
Yeah.
Wasn't getting enough minutes, I thought, in BU, and for my development stuff, I made a choice. So, I left there, but didn't continue my education until COVID hit, and I was sitting on the couch with my wife, and I was just like, I really would like to know if there was an option if I could keep going, because I was on a full scholarship.
Yeah.
And I called them, and they said, yeah, we'll go 50-50 with you. So ever since COVID hit, I've been doing one class a semester up until last month, and now I have 2 to go. So it's a great accomplishment for myself.
For sure.
First in my family to get a degree. And again, it's something that I'll have to show my kids, and I also have aspirations going forward after my hockey career that I'd like to do. So it's a special thing for me. And
Yeah, that's great. Congrats.
It's the end of November, so it's been Hockey Fights Cancer Month here in the NHL. Our night was just the other night here. Touches a lot of lives, but we also know, we learned, in the visit to the Children's Hospital last week, that's had a profound impact on you. Can you sort of shed some light on why maybe this month means such a important cause?
So there's two things to that. The children's hospitals, and then Hockey Fights Cancer. Both my parents had cancer. My mom had cancer, and my dad also did. My mom had tongue cancer. My dad had skin cancer. Both cured. Both did all the therapy they needed, and they got over it. So I'm very fortunate. My brother was in the children's hospital till he was 18. He was born with something called hydrocephalus, which is you have 4 tubes that transport water to your brain, and 3 of them were blocked. So he basically couldn't get water up to his brain, and things were just not adding up right from birth. His head was starting to blow up pretty much. And this was, early 2000s, so there wasn't much technology that could be used to do this surgery. And there's only about 2 or 3 doctors in North America that could perform the surgery. So fortunate enough that there was one at Montreal Children's Hospital. Got it all done. Everything was great, but he did deal with migraines and certain other issues growing up, I would say. So that's why, being in Children's Hospital checkups and everything, I was used to being there, and I saw different kids in different situations. So as soon as I hit the, be a pro hockey player, I used this opportunity to kind of, go to the children's hospitals and visit these kids and being able to give back and just spend 5 minutes each room with kids and just talk to them about anything, video games, what they like. So, it's a cool thing that I love to do, and hopefully I'm going to be able to do that in Calgary again. Growing up, I did receive opportunities to help out the Children's Hospital in Montreal. I did an initiative with my dad when I was 12 called My First Star. Yeah. And it's on YouTube. I got covered by TSN and TVA Sports and all that stuff. But basically, we did a charity game for my Pee Wee team one day, and we had live auction. The NHL sent us a bunch of stuff.
No way.
We ended up raising $25,000 that day. Really? We were in front of we had a live auction with the stuff that the NHL sent us. Then we had a game, and then that night we went to the Bell Center and we were outside collecting money with cans and stuff as kids.
You're 12 at this time?
Yeah, I was 12.
Wow.
We carried that on for 2 other years. Raised $10,000, $15,000 those preceding years, and then just always want to give back in some way, shape, or form. Haven't been able to do that again, but it's definitely something I'm very proud of. Yeah. My dad and I, especially my dad, just did such a big effort into helping out with this cause, and it was a great milestone in our family life. Sure.
No kidding. That's a huge accomplishment. Hey, listen, we wanted to be able to share some of your story, and obviously you got some great interest away from the rink too, and that was part of it. We appreciate you taking some time sharing that with our fan base here as well too, and great to have you as a member of the Flames.
Thank you, guys.
Yeah, thanks, bud.